My friend, there are moments in life when the weight feels unbearable, when the nights are longer than the days, and your tears seem louder than your prayers. You've been through seasons where everything inside you screamed, "I can't take this anymore." But listen to me, the very fact that you're still here means the devil tried to break you and failed. The enemy's attack was never about your past. It was always about your future. My friend, the devil doesn't waste his energy on people who aren't going anywhere. He doesn't fight those who have no purpose or potential. He attacks the ones who carry greatness inside them, the ones destined to bring light into darkness and hope into broken places. The reason you faced such intense pressure, such deep pain, and such strong opposition is because the enemy saw something powerful in you long before you did. He saw the seed of destiny that God planted in your heart, and he tried to destroy it before it could grow. From the very beginning, the enemy has always been afraid of potential. When Moses was born, Pharaoh tried to kill every Hebrew baby boy because he feared the deliverer that was coming. When Jesus was born, King Herod ordered all the male children under 2 years old to be slain because he feared the king that was rising. The same pattern continues today. Every time God sends someone with purpose, the enemy launches an early attack. You didn't face those storms because you were weak or cursed. You faced them because hell saw your destiny before you even understood it yourself. There were moments when you thought, "Why me? Why is this happening to me?" You questioned your worth and wondered if you were forgotten. But what you didn't realize was that the very intensity of your battles was proof of the greatness within you. The enemy wanted to break your spirit before you could walk into your assignment. He wanted to fill your mind with fear, doubt, and shame so that you would never rise into who God created you to be. The pain was strategic. The setbacks were calculated. The lies and betrayals were all designed to convince you that you had no value. But my friend, the fact that you're still standing means the plan didn't work. You see, the devil can't destroy what God has already chosen. He can only distract. He can only delay. But he cannot deny the purpose that God has placed inside you. Every time he tried to silence you, God gave you a new reason to speak. Every time he tried to break you, God used the broken pieces to build something stronger. What the enemy meant for evil, God turned for good. And the very attacks that were meant to destroy you are now becoming the testimonies that will inspire others. The enemy attacked because he was terrified of your potential. He knew that once you realized who you are in Christ, once you recognized the authority, the anointing, and the power inside you, you would become unstoppable. That's why he tried to stop you before you could start. But God held you through every season, every tear, every disappointment. The devil saw your future and trembled, but God saw your purpose and prevailed. And now your endurance is the evidence that the battle you survived was never about your past. It was always about the glorious future waiting ahead of you. God's protection is greater than the enemy's plan. My friend, there were moments when you didn't even realize how close you were to destruction, but God was there, silently working behind the scenes. While the enemy plotted to break you, to steal your peace and your purpose, God was already one step ahead, turning every scheme into a setup for your deliverance. You may not have seen it, but his hand never left you. You were shielded by his grace even in your lowest moments. Every tear you cried, every night you felt alone, every time you thought it was over, God was surrounding you with a protection so strong that hell itself could not penetrate it. When the enemy tried to use people against you, God stepped in and exposed their intentions. When the devil tried to close doors that were meant for you, God opened new ones that no one could shut. When you were pushed to your limits, when you thought you couldn't survive another day, it wasn't your strength that kept you alive. It was his hand holding you together. God's protection is not always loud or visible. Sometimes it comes in the form of disappointments, delays, and detours. You thought the rejection was painful, but what you didn't see was that God was protecting you from something that would have destroyed your spirit. You cried over what you lost, but heaven was saying, "If only you knew what I saved you from." The devil's plan was never greater than God's promise. The enemy wanted to use your pain to turn your heart cold, to make you bitter and hopeless, but God used that same pain to purify your faith and strengthen your spirit. Every trial that tried to crush you actually built a deeper foundation of trust in God. You learned that his protection doesn't always mean escaping the fire. Sometimes it means walking through it without being burned. It means standing in the middle of chaos, but still feeling peace that makes no sense. It means losing things that were temporary so you can gain what is eternal. Think back to the moments that almost broke you, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the failure. You thought you were alone, but that's when God carried you. You didn't see his hand, but you felt something holding you together when you should have fallen apart. That was divine protection. He didn't let the enemy have the final word over your life. He didn't let the darkness swallow you. He didn't let the pain define you. The reason you're still standing, still breathing, still fighting is because God's protection surrounded you like a wall of fire. So, my friend, don't be afraid of what's coming next. If God protected you before, he will protect you again. The same hand that held you yesterday is still holding you today. The enemy planned to destroy you, but every attack only pushed you deeper into God's arms. His protection is greater, stronger, and unshakable. And as long as he is with you, no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. Your pain is preparing you for purpose. My friend, the struggles you've walked through were not random. They were the training ground for your destiny. The tears you cried, the loneliness you felt, and the battles you fought were all part of a divine process. You see, God doesn't waste pain. Every hardship has meaning. Every season of suffering carries a lesson, and every heartbreak refines something deep within you. What felt like punishment was actually preparation. God was shaping your heart, strengthening your spirit, and building endurance for the purpose he designed for you long before the pain ever arrived. Sometimes we ask, why would God allow this? But what we often fail to realize is that growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in challenge. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified by fire, and your faith is proven through trials. You wouldn't know the power of peace if you had never faced chaos. You wouldn't know the strength of your faith if you had never been tested. God allows you to go through seasons of breaking so that he can rebuild you into someone who can handle the blessing that's coming. The very pain that tried to destroy you is the same force that is developing your strength. When Joseph was thrown into a pit and sold by his brothers, he didn't know that betrayal was the path to his destiny. When David was hunted by Saul, he didn't realize the wilderness was preparing him for the throne. And when you face those moments that seemed unfair, the losses, the rejections, the disappointments, those were the very places where God was molding your character. He was teaching you to trust him even when you couldn't trace him. He was showing you that your faith isn't built in victory. It's built in vulnerability. Every time you were broken, God was rebuilding something stronger. Every time you were hurt, he was healing something deeper. The pain didn't come to stop you. It came to shape you. Because there are some lessons that can only be learned through the struggle. Compassion is born through heartbreak. Wisdom is developed through mistakes. And resilience is forged in adversity. That's why you can look back now and realize that every painful chapter had purpose. It didn't destroy you. It prepared you. So don't curse your pain, my friend. Let it teach you. Don't run from the storm. Let it strengthen you. What you're walking through today may feel unbearable, but one day you'll see it clearly. The pain was necessary for the promise. God was not breaking you apart. He was breaking you open so his purpose could flow through your life. And when you finally step into what he has prepared for you, you'll understand that the suffering wasn't wasted. It was the soil where your destiny began to grow. Grace is the reason you're still standing. My friend, if you look back over your life, you'll see moments when you should have fallen, times when you should have lost your mind, and seasons when everything seemed impossible. Yet here you are. You didn't survive because of your own strength, your wisdom, or your resources. You survived because God's grace refused to let go of you. Grace carried you when your strength was gone. Grace lifted you when life pushed you down. Grace whispered hope into your soul when everything around you screamed defeat. You didn't make it because you were perfect. You made it because God's mercy covered what your effort could not. There were times when you fell short, when your faith wavered, when you made mistakes that could have destroyed your future. But grace stepped in and said, not this one. You were protected not because you deserved it, but because God loved you enough to cover you. Every day you wake up is evidence that grace is still at work. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's the hand of God keeping you steady when the world around you shakes. Grace doesn't wait for you to be strong. It meets you in your weakness. It's the divine strength that holds you when your own strength is gone. Sometimes we think grace is only about forgiveness, but it's more than that. Grace is the supernatural power that keeps you going when everything inside you says you can't. It's what gives you peace in the middle of chaos, what gives you light when the night feels endless, what gives you courage when fear tries to take over. You see, if you've made it through the battles that were meant to destroy you, it wasn't your ability. It was God's grace surrounding you like armor. You didn't overcome the storm because you had it all together. You overcame because grace held you together. There were moments when you thought, I can't take another step, and somehow you did. That wasn't you. That was grace walking you through the valley. When your heart was broken and you didn't know how to heal, grace became the gentle hand that mended what was shattered. When you were ready to give up, grace became the voice that said, hold on, I'm not finished with you yet. That's the beauty of God's grace. It doesn't depend on your perfection. It depends on His promise. So when you look at your life and see how far you've come, don't give credit to your strength. Give credit to God's grace, because grace has been your anchor in the storm, your shield in the battle, and your hope in the dark. It's the reason you can smile after everything you faced. It's the reason you still have peace after all the pain. Grace kept you, grace carried you, and grace will continue to sustain you. My friend, the devil tried to break you, but grace, the unshakable, unearned, and unstoppable grace of God held you firm until victory came. My friend, you are still standing because grace caught you when life dropped you. You are still breathing because mercy stood between you and destruction. You're not broken, you're being built. You're not defeated, you're being developed. Every scar you carry is proof that hell lost another battle. So lift your head, wipe your tears. The same God who held you through the fire will raise you higher than you've ever been. Because the devil tried to break you, but God held you, and He's not finished yet.